It's a weird situation our planet's in, right? We're literally running out of one of our most vital resources. And at the same time, we're drowning in something else. So today, we're going to look at a company that's tackling both of these problems head on, trying to turn what we see as a huge liability into, well, our greatest asset.
Okay, so let's start with the scarcity side of things. Just look at this number. 4 billion. I mean, that's not just a number, that's half the entire world's population. And all of them face a critical shortage of water for at least 1 month every single year. Think about that.
And while all that water is disappearing, our waste is just piling up. I mean, look at this projection. By 2050, we're on track to generate 3.8 billion tons of waste every year. That's just a mind-boggling amount, and it's putting some serious pressure on our planet.
So, you see, these aren't just stats for a presentation. They show this crazy imbalance we're living in, a world of not enough on one side and way too much on the other.
And here's the thing, this is what you really got to get. These aren't two separate problems. Nope, they are completely connected, two sides of the same coin, really. I mean, how we handle our waste has a direct impact on our water. So, what if the solution to our water problem is actually hidden inside our waste problem? Well, that question right there is what brings us to the company we're talking about today. They've built their whole mission around that exact idea. All right, so let's meet them. FELIX Industries. They started back in 2010, and let me tell you, this is not your average garbage collection company. They don't just, get rid of waste. They see themselves as an environmental engineering firm that's all about transformation. And everything they do, it's guided by this one core idea, a zero-waste philosophy. And that might sound simple, but it's actually a pretty radical thought. The goal isn't just to manage waste better. It's to completely design it out of the picture, so that after we use a resource, nothing, absolutely nothing, just gets dumped back into nature. And you can really see how they've grown over time. I mean, look at this. They started out as this small ecotech startup back in 2010. By 2017, they're listed on the stock exchange. Then they jump into solid waste, then e-waste, and now they're even taking on major contracts in the oil and gas industry. They just keep tackling bigger and bigger challenges. Okay, so a big mission is great, right? But how do they actually pull it off? Let's take a look inside let's call it their environmental toolkit. So their work really boils down to 4 main areas. You've got water and wastewater management, solid waste, then they get into some really specialized stuff like hydrocarbon recycling, and they're even getting into green hydrogen. Pretty comprehensive. So one of the coolest pieces of tech they use is something called pyrolysis. The easiest way to wrap your head around it, just think of it like a giant industrial-strength pressure cooker for waste. They take stuff that's super hard to recycle, like a lot of plastics, heat it up to insane temperatures, but, and this is the key, without any oxygen. And that just breaks it all down chemically. And this process, honestly, it's pretty amazing. You're taking this huge problem, plastic waste, and you're not just getting rid of it. You're transforming it into things that have real value. We're talking bio-oil, syngas, stuff that can be used for fuel or to make totally new things. It's literally turning trash into treasure. Okay, so that's the waste side. What about the water? Well, on that side of the equation, they specialize in a technology called zero liquid discharge, or ZLD for short. And yeah, the name pretty much says it all. The goal is simple: zero liquid waste. And here's why that's such a game changer. A traditional treatment plant, right, it cleans water, but then it just dumps the leftover stuff back out. ZLD is totally different. It creates a closed loop. It treats and recycles virtually all of the wastewater, so nothing liquid goes back into the environment. All you're left with is a solid residue you can actually manage. So all this tech sounds great in a lab, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Let's check out the kind of impact these solutions are making, on the ground. Okay, let's talk about some real money. In April 2025, check this out. FELIX landed a huge contract. We're talking nearly 33 crore rupees. That's a big deal. And the client? A massive player in the infrastructure space. And this wasn't just some small job. They were brought in to build what's called a common effluent treatment plant.
Think of it like a central hub that handles all the wastewater for a whole bunch of different industries in one area. The collective impact of something like that on a region's environment is just huge. All right, but wait, there's more. Then you have this project they did for a big food and beverage company. This one was valued at over 63 crore rupees. That's a lot of money.
But the craziest part about this deal isn't even the price tag, it's the timeline. This wasn't a one-and-done deal where they just sell a system and walk away. No, this was a 10-year contract to operate and maintain it. That shows a massive shift, right? It's not about one-off projects anymore. It's about these long-term partnerships. They're guaranteeing a full decade of complete water recycling for this client.
And all this real-world impact, it shows up on the bottom line. Just look at their financials. You can see really strong growth everywhere. Revenue from operations, up. Even more telling is their EBITDA. That's basically their core profit from doing their thing. It's nearly doubled. And their net profit, a huge jump there too. So what this tells you is that their model isn't just, good for the planet. It's really good for business too. So when you take a step back, what does all of this really mean? Well, it's way more than just cleaning up a mess here or there. It's like they're creating a blueprint for a totally different way of doing things, a much more sustainable way. And that blueprint leads to this, the ultimate goal, a sustainable, circular economy. You've probably heard that term, but what does it actually mean? Well, for centuries, we've done this linear take, make, and throw away thing. A circular economy completely flips that. The idea is to keep resources in use for as long as humanly possible, always recovering and reusing them. You literally design waste right out of the system from the start. And that's exactly what FELIX is doing, right? This is how they put that big idea into practice every day. Every single project is about reducing what gets thrown out, reusing every drop of water, recovering valuable stuff from what we used to call trash, and then recycling it all back into the system. So it kind of leaves us with this one big thought to chew on. For pretty much all of human history, we've looked at waste as a problem, right? Something to bury, burn, or just get rid of. But what if we've been looking at it completely wrong? What if our garbage cans and wastewater pipes aren't problems at all? What if they're actually treasure chests, just full of untapped resources, waiting for us to find the right key to unlock them?